Today, y'all, we have a very special guest, the world-renowned Pilates instructor, Micki Havard, and I have Trung Pham with us. We'll be talking about soft life secrets, interruptions. It's going to be very interesting, so stay tuned. When someone mentions soft life, most of the time we equate it to money and luxury, which that is part, but truly soft life begins with self-love first, working through trauma and exploring the real joy of life. It's a life free of stress and full of purpose. My name is Miracle. I'm a business owner and educator. My guest and I would like to let you in on some soft life secrets. Trung, tell us about yourself.
My name is Trung. I have a home theater business where I install electronics and dedicated theaters for people.
Okay.
And single father. I have a 7-year-old.
Okay. And what is a soft life to you?
It's funny because before you invited me on this podcast, I actually had no idea what a soft life even was. I actually had to go on Google and actually look it up. And so, when I looked it up, there was 2 different definitions of a soft life. One was where you had a life that was luxurious and you had the wealth to pretty much do anything that you want. Mm-hmm. And then the other one was just a life that is more stress-free, free responsibilities. And so I think that's probably, the definition that I'll probably touch on today. But for me, like a soft life, I don't think there's such a thing as a life that's free of stress and responsibilities.
Okay.
But I think the best thing that we can do is try to find some sort of balance in our life so that we can minimize the stress and so that, the things that we're responsible in life, they don't feel so heavy. Instead, we actually want to do those things. And so I think a lot of times when you want to do something, it doesn't feel like a burden anymore,
That's good.
And so, I try my best to try to find, some sort of balance, especially between like family and work, and you try to make time to do the things that you actually want to do. And so to me, that's, kind of what a soft life is to me, is trying to find that balance,
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Micki.
Yes, ma'am.
Being a Pilates coach.
Yes.
What's your definition of soft life? First, tell the people what you do, and tell them about yourself, and then
Sure.
tell us your definition of soft life.
So I am a Pilates instructor and a wellness coach. I'm also an author. I do worldwide retreats, and I do a lot of personalized coaching for Pilates students. I really started teaching a little bit more intimately during the pandemic.
Okay.
And that's really when my business model shifted, a lot less in person and a lot more online.
Okay.
And when that happened, I was able to create more of a soft life for myself because I was constantly running and not physically, going to people's places for personal Pilates instruction. I was going to film certain, things at studios. So I was able to stay at home and do all of my work from my house. So then I was able to ease into my day instead of the commute time I was usually using. I was using it to meditate, to have my tea, to wake up a little bit later, to really set intentions for my day. So I think that's really when I started tuning into what a soft life was. Because like Trung, before it became a, catchphrase on social media,
Right.
that I was living what people may consider a soft life, but I didn't have a label for it.
Gotcha. Yeah, you definitely was living a soft
Yes,
life.
yes.
Before it was even created.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Trung, when life throws interruptions your way, and like I said, this show is about soft life interruptions, talking to both of you all, how have you managed to deal with the interruptions of your life? And you can talk about, how your life started and how it is now.
Oh my gosh. When I first read this question, it kind of hit me kind of hard.
Okay.
I didn't, there was something major that happened in my life not that long ago, and it was one of those things where I didn't know if I should really talk about it or not, but I guess I would have to say I had a pretty good life before. But then about 6 years ago, my wife passed away. And that really kind of sent my life into a total, tailspin, and my life went into utter chaos. And so with that in mind, I think it's been like a long journey for me to try to find some sort of balance. And for me, I think one of the things that I neglected a lot, and I didn't realize that I neglected this until recently, was I was neglecting self-care.
Wow.
I spent so much time just in this constant cycle of going to work, coming home, taking care of my child,
Absolutely.
taking care of the house. And it's just, I wasn't paying attention to myself, you know? And, I started, recently, I started doing more self-care things. And, at the end of the day, like after my son goes to sleep, I would usually settle down and I turn on some sort of YouTube video that talks about, his life.
That's nice.
And, especially, I'm especially gravitated towards like videos with Buddhist teachings, because a lot of times I don't like to attach things to like a particular god or whatever. But what I like about it is that these videos that I watch, it gives you a lot of coping mechanisms on how to deal with life, and basically how to look inwards and try to be like the best version of yourself. And one analogy that I heard that really spoke to me was he was talking about how like if you want your car to run well, you got to maintain it, right?
It's true.
You got to do the oil changes, you got to change the brakes, and you got to make sure you keep it clean. And it's just like, if you maintain your car, then your car is going to run at an optimal level. And so why wouldn't you treat yourself that way too?
Because this is our
That's so
our
true.
body is our car.
Exactly. Our body is our car.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So if
Wow,
you
that's
don't
a
do-
good analogy.
That is
So
great.
if you don't do the proper maintenance, then you're gonna feel like crap.
It's true.
And so I think it's really good because some of my friends that I've spoken to about this, sometimes when I talk to them about self-care, they're just like, well, I don't have the time for it. Or they're like, it feels kind of selfish. But in all actuality, it's not selfish,
Not
because
at
the
all.
thing is, like, sometimes like if you go days or weeks or months without doing self-care, all of a sudden you're just cranky all the time.
Yes.
You go to work and you feel unhappy. You come home, you're short with the kids.
Right.
You're short with your husband. It's because you're not doing that self-care. But once you do that self-care and you feel better about yourself, all of a sudden you have more patience.
For other people.
Yeah, for other people, exactly.
Yes, for other people.
Me myself, I feel discombobulated
Yeah.
when I don't do my daily routine.
Yeah.
Get up, work out, come back from workout, meditate, and then get my day started.
Right.
Have my coffee or my
Yes.
tea.
Yeah.
If I don't do that, it seems like my day is thrown off.
Yeah.
Something is wrong.
You set a ritual.
Yes.
And that ritual makes your day go smoother. And you can notice it in your day if you don't have that ritual.
Right. So, Micki, how do you feel about interruptions in your soft life? Tell us your situation.
So I recently became a grandmother, and when I say it's an interruption, I want to clarify because I also recently became an empty nester.
Empty nester.
So been an empty nester for over 2 years, and that's a huge shift.
Yes.
And that can definitely soften your life. When you don't have children in the home, it's just a different energy. It feels different, not just the day-to-day things. It feels different and lighter when you don't have that responsibility there. So my life softened even more when I became an empty nester. And I really dove deep into the soft life. And when my daughter had her baby, it felt like I became a mom again. And not that I'm responsible, it's more of what I want to do. I want to spend time with my granddaughter.
Yes.
And when my daughter went back to work, then I volunteered to help even more.
Right.
And so getting up at 7 o'clock to go to my daughter's house to help out. And
Like a job.
right.
Yeah.
And it was a shift in my soft life. And the first couple of weeks, I really did what Trong was saying. I ignored my rituals because I was like, well, I need to get, gotta get up at 7. I have to make my lunch so I can go over there. I'm there, for most of the day. And I really did skip some of those rituals. And by week 2, I was like, I started feeling physically tired, but I was getting rest. I was doing other things. I said, you know what? I have skipped my soft life morning ritual. So instead of getting up 7, I got up earlier. I gave myself a 30-minute buffer because I think you need time alone.
Right.
Every single day. If it's 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 30 minutes before you interact with someone. It could be your spouse, your children. So I gave myself that extra 30 minutes before going to my grandbaby's house. And it really did.
Made a difference.
It made a huge difference. And like Trong said, I didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
And then I dialed back and I said, what am I missing?
Yeah.
And that's what I was missing. My self-care time.
Yes, self-care time.
Yes, absolutely.
I feel like self-care is very important.
It absolutely is.
Very. And if you're not doing self-care, shame on you.
Yeah.
Trong, you talked about becoming a single father 6 years ago.
Yes.
And how old is your son?
He's 7.
7.
Yeah.
So you took on a single parent role of a 1-year-old.
13 months, yeah.
13 months. How was that for you? Because like you said,
Yeah.
you and your wife lived a soft life.
Yeah, I would have to say so because, both my wife and I, we were very humble. Even though she was a pharmacist and she made good income and I had my business. And because we stayed humble, we were never really about spending lavishly. The second house that we had purchased, I love fixing houses, so we bought a fixer-upper.
Oh, nice.
It was only $217,000 for a 5-bedroom, 3,000 square foot house. But the house needed a lot of work, and I didn't mind, putting the sweat equity into it.
Right.
And so, our plan was to just buy this cheap house with her and my income alone. I mean, we could have paid this house off in 3 or 4 years. And then afterwards, we can just save money and retire in our 50s.
Absolutely.
So that was the plan.
That was the plan.
That was the plan. And then all of a sudden, when I lost her, I felt like I lost everything. I lost my best friend. I lost her income, of course.
Absolutely.
Now all of a sudden, I had to start doing everything by myself. And I don't know, a lot of times I didn't know how to handle it, but it's one of those moments where there was one day where I went down in the kitchen and I was just feeling really tired that day, and I just had to sit down, So I sat down on the kitchen floor and I just started sobbing. I just started crying. And then my son, he just crawled up to me and he laid down on my chest. And it was that moment that I heard his little tummy growling. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's like 9:30 and I haven't even fed this kid yet. And so I was like, and that's when I realized it was just like, I wanted time to stand still, but he was going to keep growing.
That's right.
He was going to keep going whether, I was ready for it or not, So I just had to go with it.
Right.
Yeah.
The grieving process, but you still had to step in to be that parent.
Yeah.
And everything. Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Whew, that's a lot.
Yeah, that's heavy.
It is a lot. Yeah.
Very heavy.
Yeah.
Did you want to elaborate? How did your wife pass away?
Yeah, I don't think that's something that I care to talk about right now.
Okay.
But it's something that, it's still something that I had to work through even till this day.
Absolutely.
And so with me coming to this, realization that I have to do self-care.
Right.
Is really important. So every day at the end of the day after my son goes to sleep, I would usually watch, a video on self-care. And afterwards, I spend a little bit of time to myself and I'll start journaling. I'll start writing down
Oh, that's
great.
a good one.
all the things that I just learned and how I can apply it to my own life. And one thing that I heard that I really liked was, self-care is kind of like taking the garbage out at the end of the day, right? Imagine you're a house. If you take out the garbage every day, then your house is going to smell good. It's going to feel clean.
right.
It's going to
I
have
like
a better
that.
aura about
Yes.
it.
I love it.
But imagine if you spent weeks, months, or
Right.
even years without taking out the garbage. all of a sudden, all that stuff, all that
Yes.
negativity and everything just builds up
Building.
inside your head, you know?
Yeah.
And then before you know it, you start exuding all this negative energy and,
That's
you
a
know,
great analogy.
yeah.
Right.
And so if you can just find a way to just let go of the past, let go of whatever is going on inside your head,
Right.
then you just become like a better person, more positive person, and you'll feel a lot better. So
I love that
Right,
analogy.
right. I love that. If more men looked at
Yes.
out of your lens, I think they would understand what soft life is, because I keep telling a lot of guys say, oh, that's for girls, that's for women.
Yeah.
It's not. Men deserve a soft life as well.
Absolutely.
And you've touched on it. Your meditation on how you get yourself together and how you deal with it. Had you not become a single father, do you think you still would have had those traits?
definitely not.
Wow.
Definitely not. I mean, I took a lot of those things for granted when I was married. You know,
Right.
It wasn't until I lost my wife that I started to realize that, man, if I don't take care of myself,
Self, because you got to keep yourself whole for your child.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, it's kind of like the whole airplane thing. You know, when you get on an airplane, they're like, well, something happens to the airplane, you got to put your own mask on first
Right, before you help somebody else. Yes.
Yeah, because if you're passed out, you're not good to anyone
That's
anymore.
true. Yes, yes.
I love
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Micki, what strategies have you found helpful in maintaining a balanced life?
Well, for me, I think there's a couple things, but one is for sure is saying no to things, not committing to things that you don't want to do and don't align with what your priorities are.
Right.
So that's something that I learned probably in my early 40s.
Okay.
Just saying no. And it could be no to a lunch with a friend that you ask you out and you just don't want to do it.
Yeah.
It could be no to, making more money from another job. But that is a big thing for me, saying no.
When you don't want to
When you
do
don't
it.
want to. And another thing is asking for help. Most of us, especially women, women of color, most of us will go through something, come through it, tell our friends later, and never have asked for help.
And they say, why you didn't
Why
tell
didn't you
us?
tell me? Why
We
didn't you
deal
tell
with
me?
stuff.
We deal with things on our own. So I've learned to ask for help.
That's that strong, independent
Yes, exactly.
Black woman
Yes,
curse.
absolutely. So I've learned to ask for help, and I also use techniques like Trong was saying, meditation, mindfulness practices, journaling, breath work, things like that. When you kind of feel off balance, sometimes you just need to take a moment, and just a moment. It didn't have to be, a 30-minute, session. Take a moment, look inward, take a deep breath, and realize this is the smaller picture of the big picture.
The smaller picture of the big picture.
The little things that happen.
I'm practicing saying no,
It's so important.
because I feel like I'm being stretched and pulled in all different ways.
Yes.
And I've always tried to be there for friends, family, everybody.
Right.
I mean, I know a slew of people, but I can't be there for everybody.
No.
Even family, I'm learning to say no. If it's something I don't want to do, no. And not have any regrets.
Right.
Because I used to feel bad.
Right.
But now I don't.
Good.
Because I have chose to put me first.
Right.
So that's what I've learned.
Yeah.
Well, we all grow like that, though,
Yeah, yeah. Anything you want to say? If you had any, if you wanted, if people wanted to hear how you maintain your soft life or how to keep it up, what would you tell the people?
I don't know. So I think when it comes to like stresses and, some of the problems that we encounter in life, those things are completely beyond our control. Things
Right.
are just gonna come as they come, and we can't do anything about it. And I find that the only thing that we have control of is how we react to those things that happen to us.
Absolutely.
Right.
And so during my meditation, there's a couple of things that I've learned that really helps me, deal with the trials in life. And I think one of those things is acceptance.
That's good.
For a long time, I had a problem where when something happens to me, I would just always question, why,
Right.
But
And that's human.
yeah,
Right, absolutely.
definitely. But the problem with questioning why is that it doesn't really give you a solution for your problems,
It's true. It doesn't change anything.
Yeah, it doesn't change anything. So the best thing that you can do is to just learn how to accept the things that happen to you. You process your feelings, process everything, and then you find some way to move forward. You know, and so yeah, I think acceptance is a huge thing. It's kind of like relationships, right?
Right.
There's some people when they, go through a breakup, it's just like they ask, why do you want to break up with me?
Right.
Is there anything I can do differently?
Right.
Can I change? Why can't we just work this out? But it's just like a relationship is like a two-way street. If the other person doesn't want to be in it, you just have to accept it as the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And it's so funny because there's some people, they're able to, they have that I guess that mental resilience to where they can just be like, okay, this person doesn't want to be with me.
Right. They can release.
Yeah, they can just release and be like, well, if that's the way it is. It doesn't mean that you ignore your feelings or whatever. You still process your feelings. You cry. You talk about it with your friends, but then afterwards you let it go and then you move on. But there's just some people, they set these expectations in their life, and then when those expectations aren't met, they become angry, resentful, they feel let down.
They don't have a plan B.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And so when they, when they set all these high expectations and they don't know how to accept things as they are, then it just brings a lot of negativity in their life, and they can't move forward.
So I'm listening. You saying being able to accept reality.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. Yeah.
That's interesting. Micki, what would
It's
you
that
tell
simple.
people? I mean, this is a good conversation.
So, I'm sorry. Tell me the question again.
What would you tell the people in order to maintain a soft life and to keep themselves as whole?
I think just prioritizing yourself is the first step.
Okay.
And when you were saying you had a hard time saying no, that is a thing that we have to do, is prioritize what we need. And it may be, a little extra time, after work, it may be, taking some time off. But I think if we don't set a priority for ourselves, then we're not going to be able to pour into other people.
Right.
And we are constantly, like you said, being asked to do things or feeling obligated, even if we're not asked to do things. I think a lot of it's just feeling obligated and just making a priority for yourself. What am I, trying to achieve? What are my goals?
Okay.
And self-care isn't selfish.
Okay.
It really is something that has to be taken care of. And if not, it's just not going to be fulfilling for you eventually. It'll come back. It'll come back. It's going to catch up with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, you've been married for 23 years.
Yes.
How do you maintain your self-care in your yourself with your husband?
Okay, that's
do you
good.
tell him
Yes.
no?
Yeah, so it's funny because I always tell people that my husband helped me create a soft life. Because without the things that my husband does and sacrifices and works hard, then my life wouldn't be as soft as it is. Because he works hard every single day for me not to work as hard. And that's how he would tell you.
Yes.
And so I get to reap those benefits, but I also want to give him the benefits of soft life. So he's giving all of these things to me. So then I'm going to in turn give him a soft life. When he comes home from working, there's food there. His laundry is done. So there is the push and pull in our relationship. Because a lot of people, I think that if you are living a soft life as a woman, then your husband is getting the short end of the stick.
Right. That's what a lot of people think.
And I listened to a clip from your last podcast, and I think the gentleman that was speaking, I think that was kind of what he was thinking, that it meant like not working hard and not having responsibilities, but you can create a soft life for each other if you have that agreement. But you have to talk about it. It can't be just something just happens, because it doesn't happen. And yeah, I do say no to my husband for certain things. I mean, when I became empty nester, I stopped cooking every day. So I'm not going to cook every day, because there's no need to cook every day.
But that also gives y'all a chance
It gives us time to go out and spend time together. So there are times to say no to each other, even in a 23-year-old relationship. Yes. I don't. Yeah, my husband would probably say he doesn't say no to me much. But yes, I just think it's a balance. But it also is, you have to come to an agreement on what is good for you and check in, because what was good for me 10 years ago may not be good for me now. What was good for him 20 years ago may not be good for him now in the relationship. There are no children in the home now, so things have shifted, and our needs have shifted, our wants have shifted. So checking in. Yeah.
That is good. Communicating.
You have to.
Yeah, communication is key.
Yeah.
Okay, Tron, one last question.
Okay.
Do you think you will ever get married again?
I hope so.
But the good thing is,
question.
and for you, because I know you a little bit, I'm going to tell you this.
Okay.
You're going to be the best version for the next woman that come into your life, for the simple fact that you've learned how to love yourself. You've learned how to create that soft life for yourself.
Yeah.
So bringing her into that mix is going to be awesome.
Yeah.
And I wish you the best.
Well, thank you.
Because you deserve it.
That's awesome.
And I just want to let the people know his son is 7 now.
Yeah.
A little scholar, genius in the making.
Yeah.
You've done a marvelous job as a single father. And I hope if there's some single fathers out there, it is hope. You can do it. You can do it. And you need to be able to create that space for yourself to become whole with you and loving you so that you can be that person for your child.
Absolutely.
Because you never know what life throws at you at any given moment.
Yeah.
But I appreciate you all for coming on the show. Micki, thank you so much.
Of course.
Can you tell the people where to follow you at?
Sure. So on all socials, I'm Micki Fit. That's MICKIPHIT.
Okay. And Tron?
Yes.
If people want to reach out to you, where can they find you?
I guess they can reach out to you because I'm actually not on social media that much.
If you want to reach out to Tron,
Reach out to
me. Soft Life Secrets, and we'll put you in contact with them. But thank you all for being a guest on my
you.
show.
This was
I've
awesome.
enjoyed this. Anytime y'all want to come back, just let me know.
Thank you so much. This was great.
It was a pleasure. And there you have it, Soft Life Interruptions. When life throws stuff your way, you need to know how to bounce back. Follow us on all social media platforms at Soft Life Secrets. See you next time.